right, and here we are. This is the Working Title Show with Zach Sams, and we are back. And we are back. This is the Working Title Show with Zach Sams. It's 2025. This is our first recording of the year, and we've changed the format up a little bit. I'm really excited about it. Instead of it just the Working Title Show, I think this is the Working Title Roundtable. And so we have some legendary guests today. Everybody's been talking about it. I'm really, really excited. Back for the second recording in a row, Tyler Isbell. Nobody made any comments like you were good or anything, but we brought you back anyway, so we're giving you another shot at it.
Tens of comments.
Well, maybe within your own group.
My mom loved it. Yeah.
It was single digits, but
yeah,
right.
But
I'm a broker. I hyperbole.
But to bring it back up, we have two awesome guests with us: Bob Strandt from Guggenheim and our legal counsel. As you can tell, he's dressed for it. This is half deposition today. Ray Kane with Kane, Russell, Coleman, Logan. These are, some people call royalty of real estate here in Dallas.
Titans of industry.
Yeah, and
some people call us lowlifes. I mean, it's a mixed bag.
Let's be honest. You recruited us in a bar.
with white Russians.
With white Russians.
With white Russians.
This is how this started. Cheers.
This did start in Lahitas.
This podcast is brought to you by Tito's Vodka. Thank you.
They haven't paid yet.
Oh,
can't
sorry.
Say that.
Sorry.
Yeah, I've got them on the hook. We were almost there.
Lalo Tequila.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Perfect.
So, but thanks, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it.
Right.
That was a great lunch.
Good
It was
lunch.
a great lunch.
Yeah, I was the best lunch of 2025. My first lunch of 2025, but it is the best lunch.
Be the best one until tomorrow.
Are we going to tell any of those stories from lunch?
We're not. That's classified information.
I don't know if we can. Something might come out of it, but yeah, those were great stories. But here we are, 2025. We're already halfway through the month of January, which is crazy. It's
Feels
roaring
like
by.
May, but yeah.
But I'm glad y'all are here. So, this show, we talk about everything. We're all in the real estate business. We'll dabble around in that. But, just to kind of kick us off, because we have millions of listeners, and they're all, real estate focused. So just, tell us a little bit about y'all's role in real estate and what y'all think about 2025 as we move in. It's a little different than it was in 24 because we have a new administration. Like, people are positive about things, at least, so far. We're only 15 days in, so anything can happen.
We haven't even gotten to that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
They're super positive.
Bob, what do you think? What are y'all into in 2025? Are y'all bullish?
Yeah, I would say we're bullish. Obviously, the administration coming in has their own history in real estate, so that's a little bit different.
Be a positive, right?
It's got to be a positive.
I would think so.
It's certainly a long way from the last administration talking about getting rid of a 1031 exchange because it was a loophole for the wealthy. And to me, from a commercial real estate standpoint, that would have been.
It's amazing how often they bring that up every now and then about getting rid of that.
Right.
Well, we're not taxed enough. We need to give a little more.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that's almost a serious subject. It almost is scary to the point that if you take away the 1031 exchange, does that lead to an instant devaluation of all commercial real estate in some way, which brings down the banks and the lending? So, we shouldn't start off with stories like that. We should start off with the
Well, no, it's a positive because they're not doing it.
Well, they're not doing it.
We're not doing it. Hooray. Yeah.
Both kill.
we got a 4-year, at least a 4-year window that I don't think we'll be talking about that. So yeah, to answer your question, very bullish. I literally think you're going to see a little stabilization in what's going on in the market, specific to real estate. Hopefully with real estate and cap rates, and I think that stability. I don't even think it truly matters where interest rate levels are, as long as people can kind of count on them and they stabilize. I would think we're gonna have a pretty fun little back to normalization, let's call it, and can relax a little bit and have fun doing what we do, because what we do is fun.
When was the last time it was normal? Does anybody know?
Oh,
it was certainly.
I don't think I was in real
it was
estate
normal.
when it was normal.
Right.
2018, but that was a bad economy, so that was about the last time.
Yeah, I mean,
Pre-COVID.
pre-COVID, pre-recession, because you came out of the recession and you had quantitative easing. You just had a lot of weird stuff that took us out of a natural commercial real estate cycle that you could kind of count on in history of, that sine curve.
And quantitative easing, it was like a made-up word at that time.
Oh, it was absolutely.
Yeah, totally made up.
Let's make this sound good.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's a quantum leap.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I liked it.
even post-COVID, I just remember thinking at a deal or two, like, wow, these guys want to pay what for what? Like, okay, I'll sell them, and we're getting bids on land for multifamily deals that you're like, you want to pay $16.75 for 20 acres? Like, I'm not going to argue with you, but this doesn't seem like this is going to pencil.
It was okay because it was only transitory inflation. So it was okay.
Right.
Yeah.
By the same token, there hasn't been a big easing of pricing either.
No,
No,
there isn't.
not at all.
Even with interest rates, the the political upheaval, people are going to pay stupid prices for real estate if you're in the Sun Belt or major growth centers. But you talk to people in places that aren't as robust as Dallas Fort Worth, it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the prices are still high because of construction costs, labor costs. Everything's super high.
Nobody foreclosed on anything.
No.
Not that I think the big transition of real estate's happened mostly in the office market, and you don't see it because it's getting the keys tossed back.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I mean, the headlines lately, they're saying offices
Coming back.
What's amazing to me, I still hear, I heard this the other day, where a company said, we're going to have our workers come back to 5 days a week now. I'm like, it's 2025. This was in 2020. You're just now telling them to come back to the office?
Right.
JP Morgan did that this week, yeah.
That's what it was. It was JP Morgan.
Right.
Like, we're going to have them come back
We
to
have
work.
an
I'm like, where the
unnamed-
fuck have they been?
Right.
We have an unnamed tenant in my building in Dallas, Texas, that started coming back to the office full time like 3-4 months ago. And these people we've been there since 2018. I haven't seen these people since 2020, and they're like, yeah, we're doing 3 days a week now, and and I'm like, what world do you live in? I've been coming for 5 years straight. Like, where have you been?
I don't know how people work from home. I can't do it.
No.
There's no boundaries in my house. My dogs don't listen. My kids don't listen. My wife doesn't listen. So there's nothing's going to get done there.
I don't listen. I sit down and go, I got to hammer this out, and I find myself drifting off and being distracted and doing something else. So it's just not a productive.
And Bob, we
solution.
skipped over. What exactly is it that you do for a living?
Well, we skipped over that on
Yeah.
purpose.
Oh, you okay?
He's an actor,
You don't
actually. This is a paid appearance.
Consigliere. We don't talk about that
Way
part.
to pull me back in, Tyler.
We
Yeah.
had an extra scene. We're like, that guy looks good. Let's go. Yeah.
He's just a pretty face.
Yeah, that's true.
I was slinging nuggets about 20 minutes ago in the drive-thru.
What do you do, Bob?
Well, I'll tell you what I do. I take all the sexiness out of commercial real estate, and that's. I mean, if there's a person that can do it, I did it. So I developed single tenant net lease properties underneath the Guggenheim Partners umbrella, and we really have put a discipline in for a long time to just stay with single tenant, triple net leases. Fairly good at vetting the quality of tenants we want to work with. So we're okay with a little bit less volume and just sticking with what we're comfortable with. And it's
It's been a good thing to stick with because it's been killing.
It's been fabulous. And
So
every year,
explain how the
year
1031 repeal would affect your business, Bob.
And don't forget you're under oath.
Right.
Yeah.
Cliff face, maybe?
Right.
Yeah, falling off a cliff.
So
That would totally-
not to name names, I reached out the last time the proposal to repeal 1031 was seriously on the block, made it in the form of proposed bill to Congress.
Right.
I had the pleasure of speaking to then Congressman Colin Allred and tried to walk him through the drastic impact that the repeal of 1031 had on the economy, would have on the economy, how it would, the massive loss of jobs. It's not a tax dodge, as he was quoted in the paper as
Saying,
literally said it was a tax dodge, and it just, it did not register with him, and he said just, not on my agenda. It was just, something that was going to happen.
Isn't it great when politicians are monkeying in the real estate business and they've never spent a day in it? I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. He has no clue what that is because nobody knows what it is unless they're
Right.
in this business.
It's a big splash, and they have, there's no qualitative measurement of the impact it would have. So I think that single change would decimate the real estate business and turn it into basically, more of a rich taxpayer play than, they would imagine.
It would have the opposite effect.
Literally would have the opposite effect.
You would literally have real estate only available to the wealthy. And again, the common sense that just leaks out of these politicians so fast. But, and hey, maybe 7 of your 9 listeners don't know what a 1031 is. We
Well,
might
that's
want
the
to
thing. I
explain
mean,
it.
politicians want a big soundbite and
Right.
sound cool, and
Right.
if they say, "I repealed 1031 exchanges," 90% of the population goes, "What the hell does that even
Right.
mean?"
Yeah,
So
so
they're not
what?
even getting the political capital, whatever they want to call it, when they do that.
And
Well,
we
but
passed a
they always-
billionaire tax.
They always throw in it's a wealthy loophole.
Yeah.
They
That's
always
all it
add
is.
that.
That's
right.
the soundbite.
That's the soundbite.
We closed a wealthy loophole.
Right. And again, I think would have the opposite effect.
No, it absolutely would.
I think you'd eliminate all these mom and pop buyers of commercial real estate. That real estate is a good commodity, a good investment for a good, the 1031 allowing the tax deferral for estate planning.
It's the predominant way that middle-income taxpayers have built wealth in America.
Exactly
That's-
right.
And it would directly affect the single tenant and the retail and the stuff that your
Yeah,
middle income
you
people
name it,
invest in.
massive sales.
It would
you
be
name
everything,
it.
right?
And it's not a tax dodge, by the way. It's a tax deferral.
I have plenty of clients that are farmers from West Texas or they 1031 to cotton farm into 5 different assets in
Yep.
DFW. I've got a lady that her husband was CBS like out in Los Angeles, and he filmed NFL films for 30 plus years, and it's their retirement income, and he 1031 money into, sold one asset into 5 and grew, some cash flow. And yeah, you're exactly right. It's not all developers. It's not all wealthy
it's not
people.
even-
It's
And I think we kind of flew over what you just said, and I think it's really important, Ray. It's not a loophole. It's not a protection from taxes. It's just deferring them out into the future. They're going to get paid at some
And
point.
it provides capital to start new businesses.
Correct.
All these franchise businesses you see, these franchise owners, that's how they build the next store. When, Bob, sells his triple net properties into the market, these franchisees buy that asset, 1031 exchange it. They use that capital that's generated as the means by which they build the next store and the next door. It's a massive creator of jobs.
Absolutely. What's funny is we, in the title business, we've closed more single tenant stuff over the last couple of years, especially since rates went up, than anything. And if you look, if we're doing a multifamily deal and you look at the email chain of who's on there, you recognize all the companies, name any of the big multifamily groups,
Greystar,
right?
whoever, yeah.
But when it's single tenant stuff, you see the Weitzmans and the SRSs and the brokers on it, and you recognize the developer's name, but there's always 2 names on there that end in @Yahoo or at AOL, and you're like, who the hell are these people? And then you realize it's a couple from San Bernardino, California, that's buying a coffee shop in West Texas.
I would tell you, over the 17 years I've been with Guggenheim doing this, I don't think I'm exaggerating. I bet you it's between 72 and 78%. I'm just making up weird numbers, but I think it's in that kind of range of mom and pop buyers of our product.
Yeah.
So as we're building a Firestone or a Jiffy Lube or a 7-Eleven, that's who the buyer is. And again, just to keep re-emphasizing, that's giving access to the middle class to go out there and get this kind of stuff and make it make sense for them. And if you eliminate that, I really do. I think
It's big players only.
big players only.
Well, and I think one side of the aisle, and this isn't a political show, one side of the aisle in the government really doesn't like the middle class because they do these kinds of things that really would totally impact them and take these people out of
But
it.
they do it in the guise of protecting the middle class.
Right.
Oh, totally.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the guys. But who fills that gap? Hedge funds, private equity, and
Yeah.
they're all out.
Instead of being more, fundamentally sound and running the government not at a loss, massive loss, They, it's a taxation game.
Don't y'all think that we should get Ray in Congress somewhere? I mean, we should vote for Ray.
I absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of the best dressed guy at the table and the smartest, I would have to say,
Yeah. But those are designer clothes,
Ray,
by the way.
Designer hoodie.
we'd like to know
Hey,
not only
this
what
is a podcast.
It's a $60 white T-shirt.
Channeling Joe Rogan here.
There you go.
Is that a white beater you have on?
Right. Yeah. I just once he said it, I zipped up.
this is 2025.
thought we were gonna
We
go
can't
serve
say
lunch.
that.
$80 white beater.
We
Bob
can't
thought we were
say
gonna
that.
sell lunch, at the stew pot.
This is
so-
going to be on the interwebs. You can't say that word. Oh my God.
It's an article of clothing.
So in
Everybody knows
addition
that.
to telling us what you do for a living, Ray, getting us back to the topic at hand, also, we have something in common. You and I both are the only two people I know of that have thrown epic boat parties on Lake Mead during ICSC. So can you please start with telling us more about that?
Is there any water in
Or-
Lake Mead? Can y'all still do that?
I don't know. It might be like a four-wheeler.
You might find a barrel with a body in it if y'all
We-
did it.
That's
we
right.
might,
Yeah.
We might. One, tell me about that. Two, can we maybe do it again? And three, what do you do for a living?
So I keep Bob out of jail as my primary focus,
Very true.
and I paper the completely unsexy deals that
Yes.
Bob puts together.
You're the unsexiest real estate attorney in Dallas.
No, and my wife will second that opinion.
Right.
So back in before current times, ICSC, which is a major shopping center convention, has an annual event in Las Vegas, and it would start on Tuesday. So everybody would make it a point to fly to Las Vegas on Friday or Saturday. We would have a golf
Friday,
tournament
Saturday, the before
before.
Tuesday?
Again,
This is
it's
different times.
Wow.
It's all
Yeah.
educational. We'd have seminars.
Educational.
Well,
Did you go to all the seminars?
And I sponsored them.
Okay.
Absolutely.
it was before laptops, so you had to bring like boxes of paper. So
Oh,
you had
yeah.
to set up for a couple days.
Yeah.
You
It was.
It didn't have electronics.
erect your booth.
Right.
Yeah.
It was at the advent of environmental contamination. So we would have environmental seminars. One of those educational seminars we had Back to Nature, of course, on Lake Mead. So we'd rent large watercraft. So, just a bonding experience for all of our clients and friends to go out, have a great day on the water, learn a little bit about nature.
Is the fishing better when you chum the water?
Yeah, it's absolutely
Is this
much
like a
better,
continuing
especially when
education
you're
class?
driving a 80-foot houseboat inebriated and you got a 5-minute videotape on how to drive the 80-foot houseboat with double engines in the back. So trolling while chumming, it's an art form.
I was smarter than you. I got a U.S. Coast Guard approved crew to run my boat.
I thought I had that too, and those guys ended up
They didn't
getting
show
drunk
up?
and jumping off the cliffs. So I ended up, I hope my wife doesn't hear this, I jumped off a 100-foot cliff with a bunch of 20-year-olds, and we had to take one of those people to the hospital, but that's a different
100-foot
story.
cliff? Seriously? Did you pencil dive or did you head first?
It was definitely toes first, but most body parts hit the water other than your toes first, including your backside most of the time.
Oh.
I did the exact same thing, and right before I jumped, I accidentally sat on a cactus and in a bathing suit.
Did you
Let me
think it was
tell
a
ya.
snake?
Yes, and it's a long way down after you think you've been bitten in the ass.
Did you
by
ask
a
Ray to suck
rattlesnake.
on your ass
Right.
to get the poison out?
Did Ray
No,
tell
Ray
you
and
were
I
gonna
were
die?
not on the same boat. No.
Ray, you gotta get this poison out.
I
I
said-
think you're gonna die.
I said, Tyler, you're going to die, man. You're on your own.
No, we did separate parties, and mine was similarly educational purposes. And I love it's the best party I've ever thrown because it's a captive audience. You can't go anywhere. You have to make friends. You have to learn how to talk to people, and the young people have to meet the clients. And people always would ask me like, "Oh my God, I heard you brought all these." Nefarious characters on the boat and this and that. And I was like, no. It was the exact opposite. I was so tired of the casino, bling, 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 all the clubs and all the stuff. I was like, let's just go out on a beautiful day, drink some cold keg beer and hang out and get to know each other. And we got to do it again.
So what,
Thank
yeah,
God
what
nobody
happened?
died.
You guys are
Cliff
really
jump.
selling it.
Yeah, what
Zach,
happened?
I can't wait to go.
Yeah.
What
Sounds
happened?
so great. We stopped doing it.
Right.
What happened is the marketing
Go to
proved
the
we had to
hospital
work
jumping
for a
off
living.
100-foot cliffs into water that may have vomit in it.
They can't get insurance on the boat.
Back then, there was
Yeah.
a really deep lake. It was like 800 feet deep. Now it's only about 200 feet deep. So it's a
Well,
little more dangerous.
it was 650 feet deep, and one of our common friends that will remain nameless came up to me and said, "Why don't you have Jack Daniels on this boat?" And I said, "So-and-so, it's 650 feet deep, and I don't want to have to pay anybody to come get your ass out of this water. We're having beer and boons only." So, yeah.
What, do you have weights on his ankles or something?
Yeah.
It wasn't a he.
I had open bar, and I ended up buying 2 jet skis and replaced the windshield on a powerboat after Claudia Hutchinson face planted it and broke the glass. But nobody died.
Oh, my God. Yours sounded like maybe more
Yeah,
fun than
I
mine.
think he did. I did
I did
better.
houseboat and ski boat together. We had the mothership that stayed put in the middle of the lake, and then the ski boat would take people on tubing rides, and it
Jet
was
skis, the whole
it was
deal
amazing.
is dangerous.
Didn't
Yeah.
Lake Mead the lake that Pam and Tommy Lee were on in their famous video? Isn't that Lake Mead?
I have no idea.
Yeah, you do. Shut up.
Okay,
You mean this
so,
video?
so in addition to that, what is it professionally that you are focused on these days?
Oh, lots of things. Though we have a general commercial practice, transactional of all kinds. So I've been doing a lot of large industrial deals. Mainstay is anything that has a lease that touches it. Primarily, still a lot of single tenant. Believe it or not, doing a fair amount of office deals. Redo of office buildings. No true workouts, but basically reconfiguration of tenant bases and office projects. Still a lot of really mostly infill retail, bigger infill retail deals. Still super busy. The demand is outstanding.
Retail still just doesn't have enough. And I was reading that they're all saying the strip mall is coming back. I didn't know that it left, but
right.
they're big on that. And it's supposed to be big grocery stores again.
The kind of the change in the retail business is the big inline box deals no longer exist, right? Because the bigger inline box tenants don't exist anymore. So a lot of those have been kind of demalled, if you will, or converted into more lifestyle type centers, mixed use projects. So that makes the deals a lot more complicated, but you still have the retail tenant issues with exclusive uses, but then now that's mixed in with multifamily, hospitality. I mean, you name it. Projects are, phenomenally complex to get done. Probably half my work has been in Austin the last several years doing work for New York firms that didn't have enough lawyers to do their deals. So they hired, our firm among others and did these massive projects in Austin, which has been a lot of fun.
Well, and like Party City is, one of the latest newsworthy tenants to go file bankruptcy, and the list is 695 long, and we've got some tenants looking through those to determine where they want to be. But like, the word on the street is this is getting worse, and it's the interesting thing to me is this is a Wharton business plan. This is not, and I'm sorry, Wharton, it's not your fault, but it is a business school business plan in that let's leverage this to the hilt with debt tax-free, and let's get it to where it's a near unsustainable model. And then if anything dips, 1%, we're not going to be able to continue to run this anymore, and it's going to come back. So Toys R Us is a perfect example where it wasn't a bad concept, it was bad management, and yet they made off with like a bandit and raked all of the proceeds. So
the internet's had a big impact on that too.
It
Because
did.
just anything you could buy at a Toys R Us or, it's amazing. Kudos to Best Buy and, those Barnes and Noble to the extent they are still building these stores. But, the internet's killed a lot of that business and, the acceptance of purchasing retail goods over the internet. But it's given life to new startups, new concepts. Mm-hmm. They're not necessarily focused on, internet services. But it's the wakeboard business where you can go wakeboard outside, the entertainment concepts. I mean, there's a number of examples, but to your point, those are still highly leveraged deals. They're unproven concepts, but they have a lot of investor money availability. It's the question, can they develop enough legs to be viable over, a long enough period of time to recoup that massive investment that
Right.
it takes
Do people wakeboard inside somewhere?
outside.
Yeah.
Good surf.
It's always been outside, hasn't it?
This Good Surf's a relatively new concept, but you could do it inside. Just, the costs are prohibitive. But there's golf concepts, soccer concepts, all sorts of things coming online. But, the competition with the internet retail goods is, not the hot sector anymore. It's the service business. A lot of restaurant concepts. Portillo's is doing extremely well. Number of other concepts. You name it, they just can't find enough pads at decent prices to be able to justify the cost.
People still want to leave the house. They
still want to
they're
leave the
leaving for
house,
different
and
reasons.
it's something
They want to be
that's-
entertained or they need service. This certainly comes off as like we thought we were the smartest people in the whole world, but
Which you are, but
sitting next to
Oh,
you,
we
I,
are,
I
okay.
thought I should say it that way. Sitting next to you,
In this room, you're at least top 4.
top quartile.
no offense to you.
What we looked at 10 years ago, we had a tenant, Gander Mountain, I guess you can say it, who went bankrupt on us. And as we're going through that, and we got pretty exposed on it, I'm working with the CFO on, how do we save anything? And I was asking him, I said, what happened? And he said, it happened so quick. Basically, Amazon stole the center of the store. All the soft goods, all the hunting gear that people could wear, that went to Amazon. We still did really good selling guns and the stuff on the perimeter, but the stuff in the middle just vanished. And I think that's what happened to a lot of the power center type tenants.
Yep.
They lost that.
The high markup goods went off
Exactly.
the internet.
Right.
But you
Yeah.
look at Academy.
Yeah, I was about to say same thing.
Yeah, and Dick's. I'm surprised they
Dick's.
keep opening those. Yeah.
But they have survived by developing their own branded lines of goods, which undercut anything you could buy off the comparably off the internet. So and they cater to team sports, which is very difficult to do off
Yep.
of the internet. But still, the margins are thin. It's tough. They're big boxes. It's super expensive. Construction prices, interest rates have not worked in their favor. Inflation has not worked in their
Inventory
favor.
costs, yeah.
Yeah, but again, hopefully with the softening of all that, it'd be nice to have a stable core of decent sized box tenants that are building new stores again.
Somebody has to survive because sometimes you need something now.
Yes.
Yeah. Even if you can
Right.
get it, even if Amazon could deliver it by tomorrow, sometimes you need something now. So somebody's got to fill that gap. You can't have 20 big box stores doing the same thing, but somebody's got to survive and
Just
figure
search
it
for
out.
I want to buy X now in Dallas, Texas, and see what the search engine shows you. There's nothing in Dallas, Texas that sells that now.
It's hard.
You can get it in 2 days on Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
so that's the killer, right? So if I'm a now buyer, well, I really want it now, but I have to drive to X to get it, but I can have it today or tomorrow off of Amazon. That's
Yeah.
tough to beat. Now, I don't know how long the Amazon model is sustainable, because most of the revenue comes from other sources other than their, massively expensive warehousing business, which
Yeah.
they charge obviously the retailers for those costs, but the costs are extraordinarily high.
Have they figured out the last mile yet?
Yeah, I think so. They must have, because you can literally get almost anything from Walmart, Amazon, any of the other
But
dominant.
I'm sorry, is it profitable?
No,
Okay, that's I guess what I was asking.
that's why
Yeah.
Can we do the drone thing? Does that make sense? But no, to answer your
It's
question,
gonna be so
By the way,
weird.
have you guys heard a drone in the air from like 500 yards away?
Yeah.
They're loud.
Yeah.
Can you imagine 1,200 drones flying around all day? You'd
They're
feel
gonna
like you're
crash into each other. They're gonna fall
But
out.
you
of
would,
the
your
sky.
ears would feel like you're in a beehive. It'd just be the zzz, constant.
I did
hum.
one of the first drone heliports, and it is seriously big business.
Was that Frisco Station?
Yeah.
Where is that?
Yeah.
I still haven't seen one flying around delivering packages.
Yeah.
I heard
No,
it's
no, no.
happening.
He's talking about like people drones.
Oh,
And we talked about doing a deal with Hillwood / the Jones
Yep.
family, and
That's a real deal.
They took us when we were getting the deal done. This is pre-COVID. I mean, think about the technology and the amount of almost going to the next level of society pre-COVID.
maybe is
Like-
this what's going on in New Jersey?
They're
we
rolling
were-
out drone taxis right now.
So Hillwood was and I'm going to get this wrong, and all the folks at the governmental approval agencies can knock me down on this, but Hillwood they had vertiports slated in like 20 countries all over the world, and when we were doing this theater deal at Frisco Station, they had an event and they invited us to this event, and they had the Bell helicopter drone there that they were showing off. Like, it wasn't flying, but you could come sit in the cockpit and you could see what this taxi was going to be from Frisco Station to DFW to Love Field.
Are y'all going to be early adopters of the unmanned?
It was
taxi
amazing.
drones? You gonna get in it first?
No,
I'm not getting it first.
Not
I'm not
first.
getting it first either.
Well, so
And
for
I'm not
5
afraid.
years,
I love jump. I like
I like
skydiving.
helicopters.
Right.
Yeah.
Pilot.
for 5 years,
get
it was
it.
going to be piloted, and there'd be some. It would be automated, but a pilot would be in the seat.
Let's start a hog hunting unmanned
Drone?
drone shooting. How fun!
Unmanned or
there you
manned?
go.
Have y'all ever done that? Like
Yes,
with a real
the
pilot?
real-
It's the funnest thing in the world.
Right, with
A
a real
helicopter?
pilot.
Yeah, but it's unmanned.
What do you
You're
mean?
not
It'll
That-
scan. It'll
that-
scan for the
that I'm
hogs
not
down
doing.
below, and it'll right after. There's no pilot. You're just up there firing.
Oh, you're in the.
Yeah.
I do not
So
want
it's
my
manned
last
with
thought to
no
be
pilot.
crashing into the trees, watching some poor hog run from me, and thinking, "Why did I do this? That was really stupid."
And then the hogs will eat you.
Yeah, then you eat my hogs. That won't eat me when I'm alive, but when I'm dead,
Right.
I'm game meat.
The hogs.
Yeah,
Got a bad wound and you're getting eaten by the hogs. Great.
yeah.
This turned
It's a
into.
bad way to go.
Come sign up.
Right.
We're selling memberships.
This escalated quickly.
Yeah.
I crashed the drone and I'm being eaten by it. Yeah.
We
It's like
might have
Old
just
Yeller.
disproved the business model. Might have just went away.
Yeah, well, it was a great idea and
Yeah.
it just crashed and burned. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
So, Bob, you have been in Texas for 15 years?
I've been in Texas 23 years.
Okay.
So I was
From-
kicked out of a lot of good cities in the United States before getting here.
What's your best Texas story?
Best Texas story.
Yeah, best place you've been in Texas, best vacation,
Maybe
best
at the
real
state
estate
fair, I
deal,
don't know,
whatever.
like
Yeah.
eating
Yeah, state
$40
fair.
State
yeah,
fair.
I love
Yeah.
the state fair.
Most epic Western Texas story.
You got to give me a little time. On
Okay,
that one.
we'll come back to
I mean,
you,
I got.
How about just
most
an
of-
epic Bob Strandt story?
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
Lots of those.
Ray, do you know one?
Yeah.
I know lots
Yeah.
of them.
Ray, how about a,
Unfortunately,
But
I am,
the good news is he's my attorney, so he can't disclose. It's
exactly.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
I'm going to Venmo you $1.
well, Ray,
real
what's
quick.
your best real estate Dallas like epic story?
Yeah, Ray, you know where all the bodies are buried.
You know where all the bodies are buried.
Whew, man, there's a lot of them. Just historically speaking, I'd been a lawyer literally a year, maybe 2 years. I'm sitting and working in an unair-conditioned building on a Sunday, hot, and I'm picked up the paper like I do, and it's Danny Faulkner is indicted for bank fraud, Rockwall, Texas. And there's a chart in that Sunday paper of every name of every deal he had done where they had improperly inflated appraisals. So I go, man, that's bad. I'm a baby lawyer. I don't know a thing.
So
And-
somebody prosecuted somebody for this before Trump for inflating their
Oh,
real
yeah.
estate values?
So I'm looking around this closing room that I was in, and every one of the Danny Faulkner deals was also the same name on the closing binders in the room I was sitting in. So I'm thinking, whew, this is probably going to mean a career change for me somewhere down the line.
Like Tuesday.
That was the start of the S&L crisis. So like a really smart move, I left that firm anticipating a nuclear meltdown and went and became the general counsel of a S&L holding company that owned car dealerships and title companies. That was, I didn't learn enough about, hey, there's going to be a big, indictments for S&Ls. Sure enough, I was the sole remaining member of the board of directors of a savings and loan, asked to operate the bank or the S&L into liquidation by FSLIC, RTC, and I still got a demand letter, and they were going to sue me because I was on the board, even though I had a signed indemnity agreement. So those days, you learn from your mistakes in a hurry. It's another one of those, why did I do that? That was not really a smart move. But I learned more in that period of time about a lot of things, what not to do. My dad always told me, don't ever go into business with the government. Of course, I turned right around and did that again later in life. But learning how that crisis unfolded and the things that happened to people, a lot of good people, a lot of bad people that, unfortunately went to prison. The worst experience for me personally of that was I had to testify against my best friend who unfortunately took a kickback from a borrower, which I didn't know about. Not kidding. I get a letter from the Justice Department. Mr. Kane, your name is on XYZ entity. I don't remember the name. And they attached this 2-page company agreement back before LLCs were super hot. I had signed the articles of formation, But I had never seen that before. And it was the subject of a kickback. I won't name the names. You would recognize the names. So unless I had found where somebody had literally taken a copy of my ink signed signature and attached it to a document, somehow made it past the Secretary of State, no telling what would have happened to me. But I learned at that point, keep great records, develop a great memory, because someday somebody could call you on something that you did and you may not remember it, maybe a long time ago. So flash forward, I ended up having to testify against my friend for taking the kickback. It was the worst, day of my life. It was a horrible situation. So when anybody ever asked me, hey, I'm in business, what kind of words of advice do you have? If your gut tells you not to do something, something doesn't sound right, and unfortunately a lot of times you're in a situation where you're an employee and you don't have a choice because you're being told what to do, walk out. And don't do it if your gut's telling you that it's unethical, improper, because I know, these days, getting caught doing something and, hey, I'm above the law, that's not the way the government really works. And follow your gut. That's the best thing that, I can ever recount from all those experiences in the
Was
S&L
your gut
crisis.
telling you at that time not to do that?
I didn't do anything.
Yet you were for it. It was.
My signature was forged. If I wouldn't have been able to prove it,
Oh, it was forged.
Did your friend forge it?
my paralegal forged it.
Ah.
Oh, so she got a little kickback.
Was she in cahoots?
I think she just did as she was told. She got, she didn't get indicted, but like my friend who was the chief lending officer of that institution, unfortunately. But, don't do it. I mean, if it's, because the things that can happen to you can literally change your career overnight. But there's a lot of funny stories. I've shared a few of those about people getting so mad in that day and age, which is why I don't really do workouts anymore, that, they threaten you with bodily harm and tell you they're going to rip off your head and do bad things to your body, that sort of thing, when they're really serious about it. So that's why I stay on the pure transactional side now, because I've seen a lot of people, in terrible times. Everybody thinks, getting a lawsuit's bad times, but, having the government, infer that you committed a crime, it's the worst possible thing that can happen to your career. So that's the best thing about being in Dallas. There's not that sort of influence anymore. You can get plenty of trouble, don't get me wrong, but you won't if you follow your gut. But there's a lot of funny stories that fall out of that. But it's funny when you're on the right side of the table and you're not on the side that's getting chased by, the government, or, I know, a lot of politicians have had their legal troubles, but trust me, I don't care how tough you think you are, it's a lot of sleepless nights, and it's just, it's not worth it.
What do you think my ex-employee, who was chased by the FBI, what his gut was telling him when he was, this gentleman had set up a conference call and had two phones, and he'd be himself on one phone, put it down, and he was impersonating Arthur Rubinstein of Starbucks, because he told these money guys that he had it in with Arthur and he was the connection, and so he's pretending like he's on a conference.
Did he do a
call.
good voice?
Oh, he was a pro con man.
Really?
Pro comment.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So that was the S&L crisis was my first.
But he
Yeah.
worked for me when I first got to Guggenheim, and we had to let him go very quickly. But the funniest part about the funny part is
Pretty creative guy.
the funny part is you said, well, did he do a good voiceover or whatever, however you said it? He was South African, and what
Was
was
Arthur
funny.
Rubinstein South African?
No, but he could
And
impersonate
that was,
anybody.
But that was the deal in the FBI thing. I read the affidavit, whatever you call it. The guys who got took said, we thought it was really weird that Ruther Arbinstein had a South African accent. That was the quote in the report.
That is
Trust your
amazing.
gut.
I mean, Arthur out of Seattle?
That is hilarious.
Same guy, my second contact
He went to
ever.
boarding school in South Africa.
Right.
Yeah.
No, he would play at the South African thing, but he could, kind of sound like he was a Brit if he had to.
Mm-hmm.
So I get a call one day, FBI, hey, do you know so-and-so? And I go, yeah, got a lot to tell about that. What do you do this time? And he goes, well, it appears he forged and delivered a $200 million letter of credit from, I think it was Royal Bank of Canada.
It was
Damn, he went big.
it was Royal Bank Canada
If
or
you're gonna go-
London.
Go
but-
big.
Yeah, go
he went
big.
It just so happened, unfortunately, against my advice, a friend of ours
Right.
in Chicago formed a partnership with this guy, and that was the $200 million letter of credit that was forged and presented to their lender.
Right.
And it
Oh.
was like, I mean, you know, you hear about these stories year over year, decade after decade. You think, you know, surely people will learn their lesson about the history of what happens when you do that. But you'll always run across occasionally somebody that makes you ask, wait a minute, does that sound right or feel right?
Coincidentally,
But it's really hard to protect against fraud. I mean, at the end of the day, you could do a lot of vetting. You could put all the words you want in a lease or a loan agreement. When someone commits fraud like that gentleman did, or I shouldn't even use the word gentleman, but that guy did.
Gentle person.
Or gentle person. When you commit fraud to that degree where you're forging off of letterhead from Royal Bank of Canada or whatever, it's hard to protect
Yeah, you
yourself
can't,
from fraud.
But
They're
the
just
fact-
bad people.
But the fact that
You're literally leaving a paper trail.
yeah.
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 But you
You're
got to
gonna get
check
caught.
because if you don't check, then you're complicit.
Right.
well, speaking of fraud and coming around full circle, I was at El Phoenix as a real estate rep. A lot of stories from there, but
Yeah, there's some
no.
there too. Yeah.
I got a call from a guy at Rockwall that wanted to meet about, we were looking at a pad site right there on the top of the hill, right when you come over the bridge, overlooking the, you know, right by Snuffers, and great spot. And it's like, yeah, I'll come meet you out there. And so I drive out there, sitting on this dirt lot, and a guy in a white Hummer with spinning rims rolls up onto this dirt lot, and like, you know, two good old boys sitting there talking to me like, great. One of them's, you know, mid 40s. One of them's like 85 or older.
Good old boys with spinning rims?
Yeah,
spinning
dude,
rims,
it was
okay.
the weirdest deal. And so
Tyler
Dad's
has spinning rims
so
on his car.
they're
just
like, hey,
FYI.
get on in and we'll give you a tour of the market and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. I get, you know, I'm, you know, looking for a restaurant site, and I get in the passenger seat, and Dad's sitting in the back, and Son's driving, and they take
You
us
got
all
in with them?
Yeah, take me all up and down I-30, and this guy's telling me all about the history of Rockwall and all this stuff. And he's like, you see these billboards on the side of the highway? We drove all the way past 635 going towards downtown Dallas. And he's like, you see all these billboards here? We passed all the way here. And he's like, I own every single one of them. And I was like, from here to downtown Dallas, I own every single one. He goes,
You're Mr. Clear Channel?
I go, yeah, Mr. Christian. He goes, I get 500 a side per. And I was like, so I'm doing the rough math. And anyway, I get done,
That's
and I'm like,
$12,500.
just not. But anyway, I start. No, there's 300 or 400 signs at least between that section.
So when did you stop believing him?
So no, well, you'll
When they took
believe.
his wallet.
No,
When
you'll
they
believe.
beat me up and left me out in the country?
No, when I got back, I had no idea who these guys were, and I got back to El Phoenix, and Mike Carnes walks in. He's like, "How'd your deal go?" Blah blah. And I was like, "Great." This guy named Danny Faulkner, and he goes, "Wait, what did you say? Danny Faulkner's dead?" And I said, "I'm pretty sure he's alive. He's in the back of the car. He's
Yeah,
like
he owns every
85.
billboard in Dallas."
He owns every billboard in Dallas, and it was Danny.
No. What year was
And
that?
This was 2010,
Yeah, he died, what,
maybe
like
2009.
10 years ago or so?
Maybe 08. I don't know. Right in there. And I had no idea who the guy was. Mike goes, go to the Wall Street Journal, type in Danny Faulkner Wall Street Journal, and I read the most amazing article about scandal and fraud I've ever read in my entire life. And I spent the entire day with this guy. And
And he's a painter by trade,
if you haven't read his story
Bob Ross
about
painting?
oh,
like a paint contractor.
Oh, okay.
go Google
Ross, Happy
Danny
Trees.
Faulkner Wall Street Journal. It will blow your mind. It's the coolest,
I gotta read
craziest.
that. Yeah, I
I
gotta read
think
that.
you were telling a story about Danny Faulkner.
No, that's the point. And if
Yeah,
if you're a real estate guy that's older than 40, you definitely know Danny Faulkner. I had no idea, and now I do. He
Not too
started
young.
this SNL crisis. Apparently, like I'll just give you a brief story. They would sit around a big table like this at lunch, and they would pass around deeds. And they would start with me, right? I bought this for $700,000, right? So 700, 800, 900, $1 million, $1 million, $1 million, $2 million, $3, I foreclose. Now you
But
pass
they have
that,
a fake appraisal
right?
for every single step of the way.
And so
that's what
during
happened.
lunch, they would go through a dozen deeds. They would inflate each property $500,000, and then they would foreclose on it at the table. So every single guy
But
had
not until they took $700,000 out of one of the loans.
Right.
The last lender ate it.
So everything was
gravy.
non-recourse, and everything was so around the table. You're gonna take a hit on 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 properties, but you're gonna make $700,000 5 times in a sitting.
Wow.
Why don't we just do that?
Yeah, I know. We got the table.
We got the table. You got a pen.
Yeah, we can do it. I can make a deed up right here. Let's go. I bet title companies
Do
have
I
a lot
have
of
to
fun with this guy.
impersonate a South African? Oh wait, that was the opposite. He was South African.
He actually was.
Yeah, yeah.
That's crazy. Guys, we're out of time.
Wow,
It was fun.
It was a
I
great
was just
show.
getting ready to start with the Bob Strandt.
the real stories.
Oh, we got time for that.
Those are don't ask, don't tell.
We should
Yeah.
do this again.
Next episode. Guys, this was a good time.
This was
Appreciate
great.
it.
Coming on.
I
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
the
It's
invite.
fun.
2025 is in the books. First episode. We'll have to have y'all back.
All right.
Oh, we did mention ICSC, but it is coming to Dallas this month, and we're having a party on the 30th,
Yes, we are.
right?
Everybody's welcome.
Everybody's
All
welcome.
12 of you.
Yep.
We'll put it out
What
there.
about the honorarium?
If you haven't got an invitation by now, something's wrong with you, right?
I failed to mention that Bob prefers his honorarium in Bitcoin.
I do. Yes, I do.
Just FYI.
'Cause-
But nobody will bank him, but he prefers Bitcoin.
Right.
Everybody gets a Bitcoin today at the party from
Oh,
Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, he's gonna pass them out at
yeah.
the party.
Yeah, actual,
he didn't
like,
know that.
actual things. They're not forged.
He
Yeah.
did, yeah. Nice.
That's good. Yeah, January 30th. Yeah, invitations are out. If you haven't gotten one, something's wrong with you. But we hope to see you there. Well,
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thanks for the
Have
invite.
fun.
all right, well,
Thanks,
that's
Zach.
a wrap. We'll see you next time on the Working Title Show with Zach Sams. Thank you.